Welcome to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast.
Every week, they talk about the Vancouver Canucks with a fair amount of nonsense thrown in.
Sure, they're never the first with the news, nor the best connected, and definitely more off the rails than on.
But they've been talking puck the longest, and that counts for something, right?
So strap in for the longest running, best mediocre Canucks Hockey Podcast.
It's C4 with Chris and Anna.
Welcome to another episode of the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Anna and Chris. I'm Chris, she's Anna, and that sounded a whole lot different, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying Chris and Anna in our intro for many years, but yeah, we kind of had another voice in there. Now we don't. Now it's just Chris and Anna. And
well, it actually referred to two different voices in there because it was Chris, Anna, Matt, and Adam, or something along those lines. I honestly hadn't listened to the outdated intro in a while, but it got me thinking. Matt left the show like 2 years ago, right?
And we kind of always said, well, we won't get a new intro for the rest of the season, and we'll just, the new season will get an intro. Then we didn't do that. And we've written intros. We've just never got around to actually recording one, getting a new one. But finally, just 7 games into the season, 2 years later, here we are.
Yeah. Hey, better late than never. And, I felt somewhat bad because, how we'd gone back and forth with the script. I kind of want to still include Adam in some way, shape, or form because he's the mysterious Adam Ovenel Carter who may or may not show up. He might just drop in the middle of an episode for all
Yeah, that's true. He never, formally handed in his resignation. So.
Exactly, right? I mean, if we had a cap, he'd still be on it unless we bought him out. I don't know if we would. He was definitely signed to some stupid term.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We amortized his contract over a million years.
Is he the Canuck? Is it he or OEL? Maybe.
We called him AOC.
Yeah.
Right? Which, not to be confused with the other AOC.
No, quite different. Maybe that's what he's doing, though.
Yeah, very different. Very different. Oh, it's a good point. So OEL, AOC.
One of the two.
You might be onto something. You know what else is new, Anna?
What's that, Chris?
We're going to be coming back to all of our supporters with C4 Off the Rails. That's right. After this is recorded, Anna and I are going to get together. We are going to go completely off the rails, fully off the rails. We're not talking like we do it for a bit in the show. We're going to go off the rails. And if you support the show through Buy Me a Coffee, which Anna and I like to call
Buy Me a Pint,
you can actually go there and listen to the next, latest, newest, first in a long time episode of C4 OTR. And this is going to be something that we're going to be recording quite regularly. I mean, we're really aiming for a weekly thing. It won't be as sort of long and in-depth as the previous OTR iteration, but we've been talking about it. We've been saying we're going to bring it back. And then, it was on the list of things that, we'll totally do next season.
But
it's finally that season. Yeah. And a little mea culpa. The intro was planned to have been here last week, but I didn't really factor in the amount of time that I would be sort of spending preparing for my trip to upstate New York and then recovering from my trip to upstate New York, fought off some, whatever it was, and things fell through. But I got it done. It sounds great. We like it. And that's what's most important. Actually, the most important is you, our listeners, like it. So if you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, let us know. Nothing's going to change. We're broke. We spent the entire budget on the intro.
And OEL.
And OEL, that's right. Speaking of spending money, the Vancouver Canucks have been prudent in how they're managing their cap through some paper transactions over the course of this past week. Why might that, be important? Well, one, it sort of all adds up at the end of the season. And two, one of the paper transactions transacted a goal in a game, which is kind of cool. So glad that it was just a paper transaction and not an actual transaction. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get into the Vancouver Canucks 2 Ws over the past 2 games, which I think you and I had predicted would occur.
Yes, I think so.
Did we not?
I want to believe that because I can't think of a world where I thought we would lose to Chicago. And we both talked about how Pittsburgh are, on their way out, so to speak.
Well, I see now I'm doubting myself. Was I the pessimist? Who cares? I'm going to rewrite history. Apparently, that's what's in vogue. We both predicted 2 dubs. We'll get into that. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on in between games when the players have some downtime, what they do to, chill and practice. And I don't know. I mean, we'll probably have some off the rails content, but we're going to bottle it all up and record it for our supporters out of the show. Anyway, let's rewind. So the Vancouver Canucks took on the Chicago Blackhawks on Tuesday night. Now, the difficulty for me is that Tuesday night lines up with my daughter's soccer practice. And obviously, being in Chicago, it's a slightly earlier start. So I missed a good portion of that game. From what I understand, they listened to C4 and they took what I had said to heart and decided that a power play that throws the puck around fast, moves around fast, scores goals. Sure, Chicago got a couple of that first period too, but what a wild first period, 6 goals. But not in sort of a way that you'd felt that Vancouver was going to lose. No. Granted, a 4-2 lead after 1 isn't the most comfortable leads that, tragic 2-goal lead in hockey parlance.
No, but I very much felt like Vancouver was in control for the most part, I think. And like you said, look at that power play go. Moving their feet, moving the puck with speed, creates opportunities. And Danton Heinen got on the score sheet twice. Good BC boy. Not the last we'll hear of that this episode. But I kind of felt like it was a matter of time with him. He was doing all the right things. So kind of not surprised that he did score.
Yeah, and again, I only saw replays of the goals. The fact that they hadn't even, finished doing sort of the opening game announcements when Danton got his first goal on the first shot of the game. It's a good way to set the tone, especially when you're in Chicago where they have that crappy goal song that no one likes.
Yes, unfortunate that we did have to hear it 3 times still.
Yeah, fair play. But, yes, you put up for it for 3. We doubled that. It should be a rule that the opposing team's song gets played too.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that kind of undermines home ice advantage.
Well, okay, I mean, a little off the rails here because why not? It's early. The number of people in the Oilers Canucks series last playoffs, like the fans at Edmonton who were like, I hate that song. It's a horrible song. Why are they playing that song? And I don't think the Vancouver Canucks have ever had a goal song where the opposing team's fans were like, oh, I hate it. As we do to what Chicago plays, courtesy of the Dropkick Murphys. But
the Fratellis.
Or no, Fratellis, sorry. Dropkick Murphys is the wrong one. Yeah, Fratellis.
Yeah, they do shipping out to Boston. Which, by the way, should be banned. Why are Canucks playing that ever? Anyway.
Well, I don't think they do anymore. I think, if I recall, it took some heat. And Francesco, personally apologized.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fratelli, sorry. I get them mixed up. The problem is there's a long list of songs that I actually enjoyed until I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like an indie tune that got overplayed, but I wasn't mad at it until I became a Canucks fan. And I missed 2010. It's not like I was there for it, but I was still mad about it.
I was, yeah. But second period, which is sort of when I got home, turned on the TV, started watching, not all that exciting. It felt like, and this is sort of me as a Canucks fan. Okay, they came out banging in the first period, but then come out in the second period and are not parking the bus, but playing a lot of, hold on, hold tight. We're good. We've got a 2-goal lead. And you never really feel good about that as a Canucks fan, huh? I honestly can't remember anything about the second period other than I felt worried.
Yeah. That just sort of general malaise, the existential dread that Quinn Hughes seems to experience 24/7, if we're going by the expression on his face, at least. Yeah, it didn't feel like that great. And then I'm just also remembering part of the first period, the Canucks goal that they scored with 7, or was it 700 Canucks on the ice.
Hey,
counting is hard.
If you count, yeah, there were a few extra bodies on the ice, but they didn't matter.
Yeah, they weren't part of it.
They weren't
interfering with play. Or an expression.
No. I mean, actually, if you count and include the goaltender, there were actually 8 Canucks on the ice.
Yeah.
But I mean, you take there's just 2 extra skaters, right?
Yeah, and they were just hanging out. They weren't playing hockey. They just happened to be on the ice.
Yeah. Oh, imagine if the NHL had VAR.
Yeah.
To that extent. Okay, so you might say, well, they can do a coach's review. It's not a reviewable thing to count the number of players in the ice. But if VAR existed, hot damn, the NHL would find a way to be counting bodies.
Oh, yeah. They would remove the points from the Canucks and just a few extra to punish them. So no one ever did it again.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, but yeah, okay, fair play. I had forgotten about that. And again, in fairness, I only saw the screen capture and the people complaining about it.
Yeah, I didn't see it at the time either, but it's somewhat different when you're watching a broadcast.
And I'd also like to point out that when the Vancouver Canucks score this goal and there are too many men on the ice, one, the fact that Canucks can get away with that is not believable in its own right.
Yeah.
Because if there is a team that can get called with too many men on the ice because they have too many men on the ice, it's the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, they're good at that. Not so good with accounting.
I'm surprised they didn't, with the Vancouver on ice, they just didn't add those extra numbers. I'm looking at the box sheet here, and they do list only 6 players on the ice, but we know there were 8.
That's funny.
How does that work? Hey, I was on the ice. That should count. They get a bonus. That 1 point difference.
Who do they decide gets the plus minus?
Yeah, good question. Third period rolls around, and the Canucks get back into their scoring ways. And once they sort of put the game out of reach, I would say the Brock Besser goal on the power play. Game's out of reach. Pius Suter only 30 seconds later, further out of reach. You're feeling good. Yeah. Chicago gets a power play marker of their own, but it just didn't feel like they were going to score 4 goals.
Yeah, at no point. And I know lots of people were mad at the power play that Chicago got that Tyler Bertuzzi scored on.
What, the Roenick slashing penalty?
Am I the only one that thought, yes, that's what slashing is? If you look it up in a textbook, was it? Did he hit it hard? No, but he hit him. I
don't. So this is the thing about hockey is that I think we get so accustomed to the standard of officiating at being at a particular level that when the rules are actually applied, we freak out because that's not a penalty. Well, no, I mean, it is. I mean, I'm going to, off the rails, but my nephew, he's back to playing soccer. For those, I think I mentioned it, he suffered a pretty catastrophic injury playing baseball start of the season, was told, hey, sports are behind you. That's how bad it is. He's back on the field. And this is not him doing it. He's full on surgeon said, yeah, man, you're miraculous. I call him Wolverine now. Anyhow, one of his players got sent off. Got 2 cautions over the course of the same stoppage. The way he described it to me, goes in and after his team scored a goal, his teammate goes in and tries to take the ball away from the keeper who's lying on the ball. Scuffle ensues. Player gets himself a caution for that. Now, in soccer, when another player has the ball, you have absolutely no right to come in and pull it because you're ultimately, you should get that, but you're inciting a problem and it's often going to result in a caution, at least to you, possibly both ways. What does his teammate proceed to do, the referee? Well, if you're going to caution me, you bloody well better caution everyone else. Otherwise, you got to take that one away. And then the referee's like, cool, here's your second for dissent. Off you go. Now, my my nephew's team not happy with this, and my sister and my nephew were like trying to ask me as a referee, why is that allowed? Well, you kind of broke the rules twice. Like, they're both cautionable offenses. Would I, as a referee, have done it in a time? I don't know. Have I, as a referee, done that? Totally. Now, bring it back to the NHL and its officiating standard. There's the spirit, there's the rule, and then what the NHL referee does in the moment to quote unquote manage the game.
And I'm not saying like that I've seen that like happen against the Canucks and not been given. Sure, like that happened. Sure, it wasn't like the most violent slashing. I just like was like, I can't get mad at that because that's what slashing is to me. Just maybe he did it gentler than other people, but yeah, I wasn't mad at it.
Regardless, didn't matter. Sure, Lankinen is no longer Blankinen because he let in the 3. But the Vancouver Canucks got themselves a dub clean out of Chicago to wrap up what one has to admit was a pretty darn successful road trip. Like, the Canucks got a single point their first 2 games at home. Yeah, that first loss against the Lightning hurt, but they got wins the next 3. So it's hard to be upset at a team going 75% on the road and having points in their first, 5 of 7. So Canucks come home, they get to sleep in their own beds, really enjoy the buzzes to the wind and relax. Yeah, see your family, see their kids, talk to Tyler about how he got his, 1,000th NHL game on the road, rah. And then we start to see, how relaxed a few players were in the Vancouver Canucks practice. I don't know if you've heard this, but apparently JT Miller and Elias Pettersson are teammates.
Correct. Okay, I have heard that part. Continue.
Okay, good. And apparently they are 2 players that exist in the Vancouver Canucks dressing room. Have you heard this?
I've heard this part.
Yeah. Occasionally, they're on the ice together.
Also heard this. I have heard of something called the Lotto line.
And arguably 2 of the Vancouver Canucks' best players, and paid accordingly.
Yes.
Did you know that they got into a little kerfuffle? And I like actually how you phrased it, the scuffle kerfuffle.
Yeah. Well, because I thought that encapsulated all the buzz around it as well. I also, fun fact, taught my German roommate the word kerfuffle whilst describing
Didn't know what that was?
Yeah. It's funny because, like, obviously he's lived in English-speaking countries for like a decade, so his English is near perfect. But like, very occasionally, I get to teach him a word, and that's really fun. Yes, obviously this has been talked to death now because it's Vancouver.
We're probably going to talk about it for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah. The thing is, like, if there was another game on Thursday, for example, would this have blown up? Probably not. Like, we would have had other stuff to talk about. But I said this in the rundown. There's no such thing as a small story in a big market. Like, I know J. Pat was kind of defending himself, saying, I just reported what I saw. And I think that's totally legitimate. This is Vancouver. Like, if a player breathes weird in practice, we want to know about it. Like, it's fine to report it. But yeah, I'm of the opinion that I just don't care about it. Like, they are not besties. That is not news at all. Like,
are you best friends with all your coworkers?
I'm not. And I actually am really good friends with a bunch of them. Do I like all of them? No. Am I respectful towards all of them? Yes. I mean, I'm literally HR, so that would be bad if I wasn't. But yeah, like, question for you, Chris. Who do you think you would get on with the most? Pettersson or Miller? Like, who would you go for a drink with?
Okay, I would love to go for a drink with Petey, but I think there would be more likelihood I'd go for a drink with JT.
See, I think I would enjoy Pedersen more. Like,
well, and that's what I'm saying, right? Like, to me, Petey would be the more enjoyable time, but I just don't feel like he's the type to go for a drink with you.
Fair. But like in this scenario,
that's sort of what I'm getting
he
at.
doesn't get a choice.
Oh, Petey.
But yeah, I think like I'm more of a Petey person. That's the European sensibility, slightly more chill, slightly younger.
The dry wit.
Less American, less dad-like. But if I met JT, I would be polite to him, and I would say, "Thank you for all the goals, Mr. Miller." But yeah, like, I think. Do I think it's absolutely necessary that JT like, shook up Petey and like gave him a talking to? No, but like, I also don't think it's bad that his frustration, like, at Petey, like, Petey knows he's not having the season he wants to.
No, he doesn't. He has to be reminded of it regularly because he keeps forgetting. He's on social media far too much. Haven't you heard the stories on?
It's so dumb, the social media thing. Look.
Okay, well, so this is the thing, is this story had legs, right? And it kept being talked about. And then Elliot Friedman dropped some knowledge. In doing so, also throwing a couple strays at Rick Dhaliwal. But Friedman goes and shares that there is the belief that the Vancouver Canucks want Petey to learn and feel that the organization from management down to coach are not the right people to be doing the teaching. So it has been inferred to the leaders within the team that are on the ice to help Petey learn and be educated. And that Quinn Hughes has taken it very seriously, but Quinn's not the type of guy to lay into someone. And JT Miller has taken it personal that he's going to go and help Petey learn. Hence why this might be it. But one of the things that I actually, outside of the story, and oh, by the way, the comment was about, how Petey apparently hears things and people talk to him and he gets stuff on social media. And if it comes from Rick Dhaliwal, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it was like throwing a stray at Rick for no real reason. But fast forward to sort of other things that occurred in the practice. Connor Garland going around quietly talking to both players, acting as a peacekeeper. Like, you and I are big Garland fans. Like, the moment he threw on the neck guard,
or maybe to the aquarium, because that would be more enjoyable for him. See some sharks.
Are there sharks there?
In the big tank, there's some sharks.
Yeah. Big Jaws fan, him. But Connor Garland, no letter, goes around.
But he was a letter in his
provides
heart.
some leadership. That's right. JT Miller hears from the guys. And apparently, as we learned in After Hours, can say something to someone that's so critical that the person's like, yeah, you're right. But it's interesting that these stories are also now coming out. And I feel that is maybe the PR machine.
Yeah.
But also the result of, hey, we've got some leadership, different leadership styles. We saw one like big flashlights, spotlights, you name it, all over it. Here's everything else that you don't see.
Yeah.
As readily. So anyhow, regardless, I also have to leave with this. When was the last time two players on a hockey team got into a scuffle kerfuffle? Guaranteed, if the day of the week ends in a Y, it probably happened at practice.
Yeah.
This is not big news.
Yeah. Like, it's practice. It happens. Like, because to me, I'm just like, all this may be true about JT, using his leadership to guide Petey, and like his leadership style is rough and tumble. I think what happened in practice is he got annoyed at him, and there is context for that. And then everything was okay after that.
And if you actually, and I shared it sort of in C4 Discord, didn't really get much action. One could be that no one really cares to hear the story, or two, no one actually knows it. But like I had said, if it gets to the point of Louis Pasaglia taking on all comers in the dressing room bad, then I might have some concern. And if you don't know the story, a Grey Cup winning BC Lions team leading up to their Grey Cup victory had such problems in the dressing room that the veteran kicker for the BC Lions, who, was already very gray in tooth, he was old at this time, came flying out of the showers, stark naked, wanting to fight everyone in the room to teach them all a lesson and to understand that they were a team. And apparently the sight of Louis Pasagula without clothes, soaking wet, wanting to fight all of these football players was enough to set the team straight. If it gets that bad, I don't know if the Vancouver Canucks have someone that can do that.
That's the thing. It's just people want to find the one answer. There was the time in the bar where they heard Gloria for the St. Louis Blues. What happened? What was it? The U2 concert for Nashville? Or the fact that they were banned from going to that? I'm not denying soft factors are a thing. Of course they are, psychological factors, but it's just so... there's so many other things that feed into it. There's not one answer.
Yeah. Anywho, fast forward to Hockey Night in Canada. The Pittsburgh Penguins are in town. The Vancouver Canucks are at home. And just before the game, it's time to celebrate Tyler Myers, or as he's kindly referred to as Tyler Miners, the Chaos Giraffe. He was presented with his silver stick for having played 1,000 games in the NHL. We got to see Thatcher hop over the boards. I saw someone describe it as Willie Riker style. So if you're a fan of Star Trek The Next Generation, Commander Riker steps over the chair to sit in it. And apparently Thatcher stepped over the boards in that regard.
I didn't even see that part. He looked good in that suit, though.
Yeah, I rewound the watch and I'm like, oh yeah, totally a banger. But the coolest moment was when Quinn came out with the little silver sticks for Tyler Myers'
weirdly
kids.
Not for Connor Garland. They were for Tyler Myers' kids.
Oh, that was not nice. He's our favorite.
I know, but he's small. What I loved the most was when they took the group picture, that all the Canucks players stood up behind the bench to crowd in to get in the group picture as well. I thought that was so sweet. It's a cool moment. You really forget how much 1,000 games, that's a lot. That's longevity. And for a player that's not a star, and at times he's been a liability, frankly, but he's stuck it out and he's improved and he's got better. So he's not always a Chaos Giraffe.
Fair play. 82 games in a season. That's 10 years isn't enough.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, 12 years, not enough. You need, and presuming you're healthy, you play them all. It's crazy. And he was talking in after hours. So he feels he's got more time left to play. So he's not going to get to 2,000, but definitely more to grind. Canucks came out flat. I don't know if it was they're at home, they're far too relaxed, they're still thinking back to whatever transpired at practice. If they were all upset that they didn't get their own little small silver stick, because the Vancouver Canucks just looked flat. I think I used the term sluggish.
It's good.
The first period was just bad. The Vancouver Canucks, heck, they had a power play where the Pittsburgh Penguins not only had more shots, but had the best opportunity to score a goal.
Thank God for Kevin Blankinen. His ability to, especially, when the power play was struggling a lot. He saved quite a few short-handed attempts.
Well, that's right. I see. I'm just talking about the first, but you're right. If we look at the entirety of the game, yes, Lankinen.
Yeah.
The number of shorthanded, grade A opportunities, or the fact that there were multiple breakaways and he only let one get past him.
Yeah. He did good. And eventually everyone else woke up.
Yeah. It's important to point out that the Vancouver Canucks did outshoot the Penguins after one. But if it was 10 minutes into the first period, the Vancouver Canucks had 2 or 3 shots. It wasn't until Beauvillier scored his goal that seemed to wake the Vancouver
Did you
Canucks up. Like,
remember
oh,
that's
crap.
where he'd gone?
No, I didn't
either.
But I find it interesting that Beauvillier scored a goal assisted by Pettersson.
Yeah. It was just like, what year is it? Not easy. That many for the Canucks.
But the Vancouver Canucks seem to wake up. Still didn't get one past Nedeljkovic. I see his name, I hear them pronounce it, and I'm like, I'm never going to remember it. They couldn't get it past Alex.
Yeah, I've already forgotten how you say his name.
I want to say it's like Nedeljkovic, but let's call him Alex. Anyhow, intermission occurs. Everyone's talking about the Vancouver Canucks. They got to pick it up. Like, they can't play this way. Apparently, they didn't get that message, because when Russ scored to give the Penguins 2-0 lead early in the second period, a lot of people started to suggest that the Vancouver Canucks were going to take an L. It sucks. They're going to take an L. One particular person on Threads who I follow had said, man, I hope I'm proven wrong, but it just doesn't feel good. The Vancouver Canucks apparently took that post on Threads personally. At 4:06, Petey finally got himself his first goal. Hopefully, it's not his only goal this season. It's the first of many. But he gets himself a solid goal. 4:06, only, 2 minutes, a little bit more than 2 minutes. So the Vancouver Canucks are back in this game.
It was.
They hadn't even finished
for the three goals, and then.
Well, this is the first, right? They hadn't even finished announcing the assists on Pettersson's goal when Sherwood gets his goal, 4:49. They hadn't even announced that goal at 5:11 when JT Miller scores a goal. So the Vancouver Canucks, in a 1 minute 5 second period of the second, went from 2-0 down to 3-2 up. And it just, like, I actually was surprised that Pittsburgh didn't take a timeout at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
They waited until 9:58 when Arshdeep Bains scored his first goal of the season on the ice. Beautiful, hustle goal. Sprong set it up, perfectly with that shot. And that's when Pittsburgh took the time out to settle things down. But you felt like the Canucks had so much more going for them at that point.
Yeah, they completely sucked energy out of Pittsburgh. And, I think that only people beside Kevin Lankinen that really had any energy before into the second period were Connor Garland and Nils Hoglander, because they always do. But into the second 2 periods, Kiefer Sherwood was electric every single time he was on the ice.
Well, he's got he's not got the Rafi Torres crazy, but he's got the Rafi Torres hustle.
Yeah.
Like he hits things that skate. He forechecks with wild abandon. He has the sense of compete that it's nice to have in a Jag Plus.
Jag Plus. I like the sound of that. I'm obsessed with the fact that Canucks signed him because he was annoying. And
but that's the thing, is every team's got to have that guy.
Yeah. And yeah, actually, our three most sort of tenacious players in Garland and Hoglander and Sherwood just seem like the most gentle, quiet people off the ice. But yes, let's go back to Bains, because we gotta celebrate. You're scoring your first NHL goal. You're an undrafted player.
In both the WHL and the NHL.
Yeah, double undrafted. You're playing in your home rink. The team are wearing the jerseys from, granted, before you were born, but their heritage jerseys. And this was as much about him as it was about his family and his community. It's huge, for just on the diversity side, Punjabi player, which is incredibly rare, from Surrey. And you could see how much it meant to him. And then after the game, to his family, he gave the puck to his dad. Seeing that picture where his dad like so visibly different from so many hockey families that we see on a day-to-day basis. Like, I think that's so important and so cool.
Yeah. I have one critique.
Oh, yeah.
When he was interviewed post-game, I really wish the Vancouver Canucks PR machine hadn't got its claws in him.
Oh, yeah? What do you mean by that?
He was, I mean, it could be as well, young player wanting to make sure he's safe, but I wanted to see just a little more of that emotion.
Yeah, he wasn't
that
very...
we had witnessed, right? Like,
yeah.
He was very calm and centered,
but he does have that. He's very good at the hockey cliches and has been, like, for a while.
But
I think
I'm being nitpicky here. I don't want to take anything away from the kid's goal. It was a great goal, but it's funny, you see his celebration on the ice and his reaction, and then post game, we gave it 105%, and it's a team effort. And when I can't put words to what happened, and Sprongy there did that, and Lanky did this, and okay, see you later.
Yeah, but it is funny. Like, I don't want to call it a pet peeve because I know exactly why they do it, but media love to just say a sentence that is their opinion and say, how do you feel about that? Or like, because, and I know why they do it, because hockey players are so non-responsive and they're trying to get some sort of answer or quote out of them, but it does just feel like this is more a comment than a question.
Yeah, fair play. We're going to hear more about Arshdeep when we get into half full, half empty. But the Vancouver Canucks got themselves a dub to kick off their homestand. They continue this homestand with 2 more games in October. Monday night, so tonight, depending on when you're listening to this episode, Carolina Hurricanes are in town. On the 30th, Wednesday, the Vancouver Canucks are taking on the New Jersey Devils at 7:30. I presume that has something to do with the television, that it's a 30-minute start or later start than we're accustomed to. And then the Vancouver Canucks head back out on the road. Their game on Saturday is down in California, where they take on the San Jose Sharks, 7 p.m. I believe that one will be on Hockey Night in Canada. But Anna, got to ask you this. The Vancouver Canucks got 3 games, 2 at home, 1 on the road. What kind of points are we talking about here? The look on your face has me thinking you were going to be a pessimist, you horrible, horrible Canucks fan. You.
I want to look at Carolina's record before I say this, because I do think that, like, Canucks have historically struggled against Carolina, and they are a strong team.
Carolina has a 7-14. They're 5-2 on the season.
Just be the Kraken. And the Flames. Yeah.
But who isn't beating the Kraken right now?
Yeah, that's true. That's happening a lot. Sorry, guys.
Like, and for people who are the Vancouver Canucks have a 7-14, they do, but these loser points kind of.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Right?
Yeah. Like, there's no way they don't beat San Jose. I know this is the cop-out answer starting at the end.
Okay, I agree they're going to get a dub in San Jose.
I don't think they beat Jersey.
In the Hughes Derby, they don't beat Jersey. My goodness, Anna, you're a horrible Canucks fan. So what are they doing against the Hurricanes?
I mean, there's a feel good, and there's been no time for, like, another fight in practice. So, yeah. I'm going to be a pessimist and say that the Canucks get 3 points out of 6.
I'm giving them 4. I think they're going to lose against the Hurricanes. I think they're going to beat New Jersey, because New Jersey is, yes, top of the East, because they've played like 4 billion more games than anyone else.
Wow. That's a lot of games.
That is. And then they're going to beat San Jose. So I feel that they'll get 4 out of 6 points, win against the Hughes brothers, win against the Sharks, loss against the Canes.
Okay.
So I'm optimistic. You are the eternal pessimist. But regardless, you're listening to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Anna and Chris.
Take hitting out of the game. You can't hit anymore, so don't do it.
The unsportsmanlike conduct, I want to get an explanation on it.
No kidding.
Because how do you get suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct?
Plus interference. There's no interference there. He had the puck.
Now, Madison never ever did that before. Now, why did he do it? And that because he was mad.
Well, your early favorite for the Calder Trophy, that's for sure. Elias Pettersson, you might even say your early favorite for the Hart Trophy.
Just to get back to your question, Elias is going to play plenty. He's going to get a lot of power play time. And, yeah, I'm concerned about our offense. We lost 200-point players, and we've got to find a way to score.
We talked about the fact that the Vancouver Canucks were doing a whole lot of transactions for the sake of paper over the course of this past week. And two of the players that found themselves sent to Abbotsford, but never actually had to go and hop on the bus to get there, were Erik Brannstrom and Arshdeep Bains. Now, the Vancouver Canucks are in the position of being able to do these paper transactions for a variety of reasons, but the benefit of being able to do so is that the money that they're not paying these players in regards to NHL salary gets counted as cap benefited money nearer to the end of the season. I genuinely don't recall the previous regime ever doing paper transactions. In fact, if I recall, that previous regime lost your favorite player of all time because they refused to do a paper transaction.
You're not wrong. Also, I've been having Frankie feels this week because of watching Erik Brannstrom on the ice. He is number 26. So, yeah.
Does he give you the tickles like Frankie?
It's not quite the same thing.
I can't. Okay, first of all, if Frankie Corrado ever were to listen to the show and that was the point he listened to, I apologize on your behalf, Anna.
Yeah, because, by the way, I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth. Erik Brannstrom also looks like the most Swedish person you've ever seen. Like, literally, it's like, imagine a Swedish person, and it is Erik Brannstrom. And we didn't actually give him a shout-out in the rewind section, but, like, he is playing super well. And he is stabilizing DNA, which is crazy. But yes, Brannstrom, paper down. Oh well, no big. In fact, we praise the Canucks for their cap management. You know, the dollars savings, the accrual in cap is significant, so we praise them. What's less fun is Arshdeep Bains basically earns like a 10th. Like, it's not quite a 10th, but it's significantly less. For every
He goes from being able to, dine at the Keg to having to eat at Subway.
Yeah, no one wants that.
Mm-hmm. If Arshdeep continues to play the way he has been, I don't know if the Vancouver Canucks will be as confident in doing the paper transactions.
Yeah, and he's a good kid. Like, he's not complaining about it. What's good for the team, and it's a team effort.
And just to make it clear, if anyone's like, well, Chris is suggesting someone's going to claim Bains, no, that's not what I'm suggesting yet. It's if he continues, it gets to the point where suddenly there'll be a team out there that'll wonder, and they'll be in a position, maybe due to injury or something. Is this the type of kid that maybe we'd like in our organization?
Right. And at the moment, he doesn't require waivers, so, up, down, whatever. But, it's just, I'm not saying it's disrespectful. The kid's on top of the world, but it does have real consequences, and it gets to the point where it's just not moving things in an Excel column. The difference between AHL earnings or and NHL is significant, and it does have real consequences.
Does Brannstrom mean forward doesn't come back in?
I think he could do,
because he should return from his
the same thing that
personal issues soon.
Yes, and I don't think he needs to.
As in return, or needs to bounce Brannstrom out?
That's the thing. like, do I think Branston will play forever and ever? Not necessarily. And I do think
forever and ever and ever and ever.
Forbort will get in. But, like, yeah, they've talked about Rick Tocchet is open to moving players across, playing on their offside. So, do they want to see if Eric Branston can have the same effect on Derek Forbort? Maybe. But I just don't see how you can justify Eric Branston out of the lineup right now.
So, does Brandstrom present itself a solution to your Carson Soucy, Tyler Myers situation? This conversation came up in C4 Discord this past week, where are we at the press the big red button on those two and split Roenick and Hughes up to fix it?
See, I think it's so hard because, like, as it's like you're looking at two things: how dominant Canucks are defensively when Hughes and Hronek on the ice, like what they're getting away with, like as in the shots differential, like it's crazy, and then it's also scary what's happening when Soucy and Martis are on the ice. Like, both things are true. I do think you will have to split up Hughes and Hronek over the course of the season. Like, you will have to do that. I'm just, like, wary of doing it 7 games in when we've already had a change in defenseman, and we have, like, a defenseman who's not even here, so... But it is bad. Don't get me wrong. Soucy and Myers, bad.
Yeah. To answer the question, I don't necessarily split Roenick and Hughes up to solve that problem, because to me, your sort of benefit of fixing a potential problem, which there's no guarantee it fixes, but let's say it does, is that you're not going to get the complete benefit of having Roenick and Hughes together. Like the Vancouver Canucks, I feel, will lose more than they gain. And it's not reached that point where I think they're pressing the big red button. But the reason why I talked about it, does Braunstrom solve that issue? I think it also calls into question as to whether or not Forbort, Desharnais, and one of Soucy and Myers still is a problem. So I'd rather have 2 out of the 3 as they exist.
Yeah, because, and let's be real, like, Desharnais has also been a problem without Braunstrom as this stabilizing force. Like,
or as you called him, the seatbelt.
I was just like, I knew
safe.
that you would get it.
Yeah. I mean, I am wondering, is it like the old school parent seatbelt where the parent throws the arm in front of the passenger?
Or maybe it's like the little...
Or are we talking about the full-on
extender?
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Regardless, I mean, I think we'll get a better indication as to what's going on with those 3 pairings, or really 2, because one of them isn't an issue, over the course of the next week. The Vancouver Canucks are going to see some good challenge from the Canes. Yeah, okay, sure. New Jersey's played 1 million games, has lots of points as a result, but they're still a not bad team.
Yeah.
And
someone familiar on the...
If those two...
in the crease as well.
Yeah, show the potential of holes that need to be plugged. Okay, fine. Maybe we can start having that conversation then. But here we are, wrapping up a show, talking about all sorts of things, relatively on the rails. But that's because we're saving all the good OTR stuff for that supporters-only podcast, which you can only listen to by going to buymeacoffee.com/C4podcast. But again, Ann and I, we'd much prefer to call it something other than Buy Me a Coffee, which is...
Oh, buy me a pint.
Annie,
sorry.
Yeah, come on. Like, do I have to press a button and just
also,
have you saying it as a drop? Would that make it easier?
That does prove that we don't do that. We aren't fake here.
Yeah, we don't. It's totally not When Harry Met Sally on this show. Which, okay. Do you not know what I'm talking about?
I mean, I have seen When Harry Met Sally, but...
The restaurant scene?
Yes.
The diner scene? Okay, that's fake. But the point is the reason why that came up...
Wow, okay.
Is apparently when it debuted in the UK, cast is there, and Princess Diana went to watch. And
it was a weird time when royalty would just go to premieres, but yeah.
Yeah. And so when this scene happens, everyone's looking back because royalty is present. And apparently Princess Diana absolutely loved it and like cackled. And then everyone's like enjoying it and all that. But there was like, no one had sort of prepared anything. There was no advance warning as to that scene.
That's funny.
And Meg Ryan, gives her.
She goes for it.
Yeah. Anywho, it's stuff like this that you can get by subscribing to us and listening to C4 Off the Rails. Because you think we go OTR when we're not OTR. True, but we really go OTR when it's OTR. You can also go to our back catalog at c4podcast.com, and there is a link that'll get you to, buy me a coffee, or as Anna and I like to call it. Where you can contribute to us on a one-off basis to buy us a pint or two, or on a recurring basis, either monthly or annually. And if you do it annually, you get a discount and you get one of those exclusive C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast stickers. You want to know some other big news, Anna?
I would love to.
We're on Blue Sky now.
Are we?
Yeah, the C4 podcast is on Blue Sky, and we're at the c4podcast.bsky.app or whatever their crazy social media format is. But the C4 podcast, we're on Blue Sky. We're on Threads. We're on X. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
Ish. We're not on TikTok. That's because you'd have to like create videos.
Yeah, and I'm not good at dancers. No. But yes, I am trying to. Like, Blue Sky is appealing to me. Every time something happens on the Quest website, I do think more and more about spending time on Blue Sky, but it's just not, like, it is just not there for sports yet. But, we're part of the movement, so hopefully it'll become more of a sports space.
Yeah. Friend of the show, PJ's there. Daniel Wagner's there, too. There are others, but those are the two that C4 follows. Anyhow. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners this week, Anna?
I guess be nice to your brothers, because sometimes then they play hockey against you.
Okay.
I don't know. I just keep thinking about, like, I had this conversation with my roommate earlier, how I was showing him the picture that's like was of Quinn Hughes and, I'm sorry, I forget his name, but the Canadian athlete, the Olympic sprinter who was at the game last night.
I didn't realize there was an Olympic sprinter at the game.
But
DeGrasse?
No, it wasn't him. Like, it wasn't someone I'd heard of. But, like, I was just like, it's mad to me that, like, I am looking at a picture of one of the best hockey players in the world, and he just looks like a tired older brother who's had to babysit his younger brothers for far too long.
Mm-hmm. And has seen some stuff. Yeah. Final words of wisdom from me. If you get that text message, schedule your vaccination. I got mine too today. And I am actually impressed that I haven't been hit by the tired truck yet.
Like, you're doing good.
I've been getting my flu shot for years. That's, I think, the one that sort of really sort of gets me prepped. The spicy cough, a little less so. But arm's not that sore. I've made it. I'm feeling kind of tired. So, we'll see you tomorrow. But if you get that text message, get yourself registered, get the jab, get both. Trust the science. On behalf of Anna, E4603, myself, Chris at Lightforce, I'm going to sign off this episode of the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast so we can go and record OTR with We Out.